Well, hello, everyone. This is another episode of Startup Convo. I'm Daniel McCrane. I'm a business growth strategist with McCrane Associates. I work with small businesses to implement strategies that generate tens of thousands of dollars of revenue and profit without spending money on marketing or advertising. Lately, I have been talking a lot with people who are starting a business, who have gotten started recently, or are thinking about starting a business. They've got some questions about how to start a business. And while quite honestly, the work that I do does not translate really well to working with startups, I do feel for people who are trying to start a business, trying to get started, trying to get going, trying to figure out how to do things. And so I thought this might be a good way for me to try to help people who are in that startup mode, who are trying to figure out what to do, map out what their plan is going to be, all that kind of good stuff. So I'm doing this on Wednesdays, every Wednesday at 11 o'clock. And the idea, honestly, is ask me anything. Tune in and ask some questions in the comments. So if you're watching this on Facebook, you can enter a question in the comments down below, and I'll try to respond to that. If you're watching this on YouTube, you should be able to ask your questions in the comments there on this video if you're watching it live. And if you're watching this after the fact, if you're catching the recording, of course, feel free to go ahead and put your questions in the comments. Obviously, I'm not going to answer it live, but I'll try to get back to you with some answers to those questions. So I do want to throw that out there, that I'm here to answer questions. I want to try to support you. I feel very strongly about entrepreneurship. If you don't know where I'm coming from in trying to help small businesses, I feel very strongly that small businesses are one of the key elements to the backbone of creating a good community where people want to live and work and send their kids to school, all those kinds of things. If we don't have good jobs, then we can't have good community. And you, small business owners, are the ones who are creating the majority of the jobs out there. I know that because here in our area, I hear from small business owners constantly that they have jobs open and no one is applying for those jobs. So I know that jobs exist. I know that you, small business owners, are out there creating those jobs. And we have this struggle with trying to get those jobs filled. So anyway, as we're going through, please, if you stumble across this video while we're going through, I'll be here for a few more minutes. I'm going to share some thoughts with you about entrepreneurship and about getting started. But please go ahead and enter any questions that you have in the comments. Feel free to interrupt me with your questions. The main idea of having this is a conversation. It's Startup Convo. Let's have a conversation about getting your business started. And until I get any comments that are coming in, I'm just going to share some thoughts, some ideas about entrepreneurship and about starting up your business. So let me flip over here to some notes. I'm going to share some notes with you that I've put together anyway about starting a business. And again, feel free to chime in if you find this video, you want to ask some questions. All right. So getting started with a business. So here's some thoughts that are going to be coming out from a book that I'm working on right now, a book to help you, the startup business owner. And it's the Small Business Startup Guide is what this book is going to be. It's going to be part of a series of books that I've put out, the Small Business Guide, the Small Business Preservation Guide, the Small Business Revenue and Growth Guide. So I've got a series of books that I'm working on. This is going to be the Small Business Startup Guide. So here are some thoughts that are coming from this book. When you are starting your business, chances are you have some experience already doing what you're going to do in your business. So somewhere you've acquired some skills, you're good at creating things, you're good at providing a service, whatever that is, and you've got that experience, and that's going to be the core of your business. That's what you will offer to your potential customers. Maybe you figured out how to create this product. So that's your core of what your business is going to be. Now, what you may not be prepared for, or maybe you do realize this, is that there's a whole outer shell that deals with the business acumen, which is, in other words, what do you know about business? What do you know about running business? How do you run a business? Those kinds of things. And so that's the type of experience that I want to address here today. And I've actually got a series of questions that I'm going to ask you, or that I'm going to present to you, that you should be asking yourself as you're building your business. So question number one, how do you start a business without experience? And specifically, I'm going to talk about experience in business, not experience providing the service or creating the product. Not that kind of experience. I would hope you already have some of that. Otherwise, maybe there's another conversation that needs to take place, right? Number two, what are some things you need to do to get started? Number three, what are the legal matters that you need to know about to get started? Number four, what do you need to know about your target audience? Number five, how do you commit yourself to a market solution, not just a small idea? We'll go into greater detail about that. How do you choose your industry wisely? Number seven, how do you build street credibility? And also, what is that? Number eight, what free resources can you use? Number nine, when will you know that you need to see outside help to run your business? And number 10, how do you put your strengths to work? So again, here's some thoughts. I'm putting together some notes about each of these questions that will be part of the book that's coming out, the Small Business Startup Guide. And again, I'm coming out with this book because generally speaking, what I do really doesn't work for startup businesses. Now, I am working with a couple of startups right now. I've taken on some clients who are in the startup phase. And I've done so just because what they're working on just makes sense. There are some ways that I can help them be very successful very quickly. Generally speaking, though, it's best as a startup business just to get going and to start to get some momentum. And then once you've done so, then I can really help you get going and take off from there. So let's address this first question. How do you start a business without any business experience? And again, real quick, as I get started on this, I just want to say, if you stumble across this video, if you want to ask any questions live, feel free just to chime in the comments and ask me questions live. Doesn't have to be about today's topic. It could be about anything. I'm here to be a resource to try to get answers for you. If I can't answer your question right now, right away, I promise that I will look it up. I will get information for you, and I'll be happy to share that back out in a public forum like this so that other startup entrepreneurs can benefit from it as well. So that being said, I guess we want to be a little bit cautious about disclosure and confidentiality and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, let me talk about having experience. Now, I've already mentioned you should have some experience either in the service that you intend to provide to your customers, or in you've got some way to create a product, and it's either you creating it, maybe you're outsourcing that creation, but hopefully you've got some experience there in that area already. This is going to be the core of your business. This will be what you offer. This will be basically your operations of your business. Think about multiple parts that make up a business. The main parts that we know that every business needs to have. You need to have some kind of a sales and marketing function. You need to have some kind of an operations function where you're actually fulfilling the customer's orders, you're handling customer service, you're shipping product if you have to get product out to someone. So things like that. Operations is going to be your next area. And we know there also needs to be some kind of a finance area where you're tracking the money that's coming in. You're watching your revenue, watching your profit and loss. You're watching your balance sheets, liabilities and assets. So those three areas of business are common in all areas of business. Now, your experience in your service or in your product is going to fall into that operations area. That's where you're going to actually be providing the service, sending out the product, whatever that may be. So it's the fulfillment of the orders that you've taken from your customers. That's also where you need to be adding customer service to your experience, lining things up that way, making sure that if customers have complaints, take care of that. If you need to replace a product, that you know how to do that. So that's that area right there. I'm not going to talk about that right now because hopefully you've already got that experience. That's going to be the core of your business. And so that's where you should have the majority of your experience already. Let's talk about actual running of a business though. So I'm going to ask you, think about maybe what you do already know about business. And now I'm talking about in terms of business. I'm not talking about specifically accounting or finances, bookkeeping, that kind of stuff. I'm not talking specifically about marketing or sales, but just overall, think about maybe what you do already know about business. So for example, I'm sure one thing that you already know, this is very general, but if you're going to be in business, then money is an important part of being in business. And if you're the kind of person who has a thing about money, then maybe we need to have a conversation about why you're going into business. And if you're watching this and you're thinking, oh, I'm going to start a nonprofit, that way I really don't have to worry about money. I don't care about money. It's not important to me. I got news for you. Even if you're a nonprofit, you have to watch your finances as a nonprofit as if you were a for-profit company. Because if you think about it, if you don't have money to run your nonprofit, how in the world can you serve your constituents if you cease to exist because you have no money to run your nonprofit? So if that's a shock to you, then maybe you need to have a conversation with yourself about, should I be going into business? Should I even be starting this nonprofit? All right, so let's move on though. Where can you get some experience about business? Well, think about other work experience that you already have. Use that as a guide maybe for some things that you do already know. It's possible that maybe you have witnessed some things or been part of some meetings where you picked up on questions that came up, decisions that were made, and those questions and those decisions were about the running of the business. So maybe you've learned some things that way that you may not already be aware of. And that's not part of, maybe that wasn't part of your daily tasks or your daily work. But maybe you can use what you learned from those instances in your business to help guide you. Think about conversations that you have heard on the office. Maybe you're listening to coworkers. Maybe you're listening to supervisors talking at work. And maybe there were some bits and pieces of things that they discussed that you could have picked up on. Now, you may not even be aware of some things that you learned about doing business. Maybe you had an opportunity to work directly with customers. So customers came in and they talked to you about the product, or they had complaints about your service, whatever it was. But that can give you some insight into the way that a business should be run. That can help you understand from the sales and marketing to the cash flow throughout the business, to the product or the service fulfillment. That can give you some insight into how to run a business. It can also give you some insight into how you want to run your business. Maybe you want to do things differently than one of your past work experiences were handled. Maybe you had a great experience there, that work experience, and you thought to yourself, all businesses should be like this. Those are things that you want to write down, to take notice of, and to work into your business plan. Think about things maybe that went wrong. If you were an employee of that business, how did you feel you were treated? What were some decisions that management or leadership made? Other things that you observe, see, all that can be worked into your business experience and into your business plan. Maybe a problem came up and management said, this is the way we're going to do things. But you thought to yourself, wait a minute, what if we did this instead? Wouldn't that work? Maybe that's some business experience that you have. Or maybe you overheard some coworkers or somebody on management say something like, I wish we could do things this way. And maybe things actually could have been done that way, but maybe they were just told that it couldn't be done that way. So there's a lot of opportunity where maybe you have already picked up on some business experience that you don't even realize that you have. So don't let experience be a factor for you in deciding whether you want to pursue starting a business or not. Again, I just want to throw out there, if you've got questions that are coming up that you want to ask about how to start a business, please feel free to drop those into the comments. But otherwise, there's some ideas about some ways that you can get experience about business. Of course, there are also tons of YouTube videos. You can look up videos about business. You can find all kinds of articles online running business. The things we're going to talk about is free resources. So there's a couple for there. The Small Development Center and Small Business Administration, the SBA. Those are some government-funded agencies where you can get information about how to run a business. So you can get some experience that way and figure out what to do and what not to do. All right, well, I'm going to keep this one a little bit short for today. I just wanted to address that topic, all about where can you get some experience, and see if some people pop in to join us. So if you stumble across this video again, I'll undo if you find the recording of this later. Every Wednesday at 11 o'clock, I'll be doing Startup Convo. So feel free to pop in live Wednesdays at 11 o'clock, and that is Central Standard Time. So if you're in the East, noon, of course, and then Mountain would be 10, Pacific would be 9, if you want to pop in live. And feel free just to drop questions, comments as I'm presenting live. I want to help you if you are in this startup mode. I'd love to see you get answers to your questions and turn into, who knows, the next multi-million-dollar industry to come out of a recession, right? What happens. There have been some fantastic companies started in the midst of recessions and depressions that have turned into multi-million-dollar corps. So why not you? I'd love to be part of your success. So next time, Wednesday at 11 Central Time, and I will see you then. And if I don't have any comments, I'll have another topic that I'll share with you. And that's coming from the forthcoming book, The Small Business Startup Guide. So I'll see you next time, everyone. Until then, have a great day. To your success.